How's it going, guys? It's Eclipse here, and today we are looking at the WZ-111-5A. This is the brand new tier 10 Chinese heavy tank that's come into World of Tanks in update 4.6. So we're just going to go over some of the quick stats on its armour and then tell you exactly how you can take it out in the battlefield. So first things first, we'll take a look at the armour. Now, on the front of the hull, we have 140mm of frontal armour with 120 on the sides and 60 at the rear. Its turret armour is a lot stronger with 300 on the front, 180 on the sides and 60 at the rear. We'll take a look at how it actually plays in game and then tell you exactly how you can take it out. If we go frontally on, we can then get the frontal weak spot. First things first, you can see these big prominent cupolas on the top of the turret. If it is held down, these are slightly weak, but they still require around about 240mm of penetration, so if you're in another WZ-111-5A, you'll be able to take them out there. Along with this, the smaller cupola does offer slightly less armour, but it's obviously harder to hit, and hence lower caliber guns with lower penetration should probably aim for the left cupola if you've got a decent accuracy. Otherwise, try and fire your premium rounds to get that extra bit of penetration of around 240 to 250 to pen this reliably on the right hand cupola. Now on to the hull armour, which is fairly strong at 250mm on average if you're looking straight at it, 230 to 40 if you're looking down on it slightly because you're higher up than it. And it's fairly strong, especially since this pike nose giving it extra angles. You don't want to hit this bit here, which is steeply angled right before the pike nose kind of frays off on either side. It's quite something that if they angle in this tank, you get punished because obviously it flattens these pike nose bits and they can be penned easier. And if we switch to the live model, it should show us that. As you can see, they go pretty much green, so nearly everything at this tier, and the two tiers below will even be able to pen you reliably through this bit here if they're loading premium, and tier 9's base pen is usually more than enough to go through there. And then the other thing is the lower plate frontally on. If it's not covering it with kind of an obstacle, then it's only 220mm, which is rather good. So things can't just auto aim you and pen if they're aiming for the front, so you want to be able to focus this bit here if you're one-on-one, and you can see the lower bit of the hull, so aim for that bit for sure. When it comes to the side armour, it is a typical kind of Russian style side armour, but without the Russian kind of space that gives it like 1000 armour. So on the side you're pretty weak, you've only got like 200mm maximum of effective armour, even with the kind of spaced armour that you get, because only 80mm plus 30mm of space doesn't really make that much of a difference. You do get this kind of pike nose. You don't want to be hitting that by accident if you do manage to get around the side, or this bit here, which is going to result in a ricochet almost all of the time, and also this bit here. So if you've got the side of it, make sure you're aiming your shots, and if you can get in between the tracks and the hole, that is the best place to pen, since it's only very weak right here. If you're aiming, don't aim for this kind of up a bit here, because it's got quite a big angle, and so you've got the chances of bouncing off of it. So make sure when you get the side of it, try and aim for this flat side here, where in between the tracks, and you will most likely pen. Don't aim for the turret, because obviously turrets, when you're side on, they're kind of risky, because obviously if they suddenly change their turret angle, you can see it quickly goes from green to red and yellow, and obviously the angle is going to end up you trying to hit this. So make sure that you do just aim for the side. If you don't, then you can chance it on the turret. But if you are firing at the turret, make sure you hit the back of it here, because it's only 140mm. But make sure if they do turn it, you get even further round and try and shoot it in the side once again. Don't aim at the cupola if you're side on, because it's not a weak spot, considering it's still 200mm. It's actually easier to go through the turret side than it is to go through the cupola, so make sure of that. When you get behind it, make sure that you do actually don't fire HE, because it doesn't have reliable chance of going through. Even 183mm cannot like kind of auto pen, so make sure you're aiming, and if they're angling, make sure that you're not going to get some ridiculous angle and bounce off. So if they're angling like this, then you definitely want to just aim at the side of the tank here in between the tracks and you'll pen quite reliably, or once again go for the back of the turret, since that's very weak as well with only 60mm of armour. Along with this, if it does angle towards you like so, and you've kind of got a bit of an odd angle like here, this bit is still fairly kind of good, and the lower plate is actually stronger than this bit here, so make sure you're aiming at that bit. A turret isn't really a weak point, you can't really pen it unless you've got really high pen, and they aim for this flat bit but just to the right of the gun mantlet, but shouldn't be focusing that at all. And if you've got that big of a gun, you'd probably aim for the cupola anyway, because you've got a higher chance of hitting that because it's bigger space. If you want to kind of side scrape in this tank, I would recommend actually reverse side scraping, because then they can't actually see your hull with regards to the angled bit here, because obviously as you come around a corner trying to side scrape, as you pull back you expose this plate here, and that's actually quite a big weakness, and people just tend to focus that as you come round. Whereas if you're like this, you can actually not really get penned that easily, and you're going to need really high pen to actually hit it. Make sure, however, that you don't expose this back plate here as you come round, so you want to kind of dupe their shot, make sure they fire into this bit here, hoping that they'll pen, and then if they miss, you then pull it out with your gun out. If they hit your turret, it's going to bounce more than likely, because it's got like 500 to like 600, 700 if they hit anywhere on that. And don't expose your cupola, because they'll probably aim at that if they've got nothing else and they're a pretty decent player. They know the weak spots, then they'll try and aim for that, so make sure that you're kind of wiggling your turret like that as you come round, if you're going to try and put your gun in the air to try and kind of dupe the shot if they are aiming for your cupola and you're in a one-on-one trade. And that's pretty much what you want to do with this tank in terms of trying to avoid being penned, and also if you want to just pen it in different angles. If they are side scraping that I wouldn't bother poking the thing, because the only chance of penning is the cupola, and if they're really skilled they'll try and hide that from you once again. Now that is pretty much the weak spots that I can find with the WZ-111-5A, and the weaknesses in terms of the armour model, so hopefully you guys can put that into practice and found this video informative. If you did, please hit that like button, and I hope to see you in the next video. Goodbye.